My name is Frank Halloway. I'm 78 years old. Yeah, 78. It still sounds a little strange when I say it out loud. Sometimes I pause for a second just to let it sink in. In my head, I still feel like I'm in my 40s. My body, however, has a very different opinion. My knees make noises they didn't used to make. I misplace my glasses even when they're on my head, and it takes me longer to find the right words. Which is funny because I've had a lifetime to practice talking. But don't worry, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm just here to talk. Think of this as a quiet conversation on a porch somewhere, late in the afternoon, with a cup of tea that's already gone cold. If there's one thing I've finally learned at this age, it's that life never stops teaching you. Never. Every experience, good ones, bad ones, the ones you're proud of and the ones you'd rather forget, they're all lessons. The problem isn't that life doesn't teach us. The problem is that most of the time we don't listen. Or maybe we hear it, but we tell ourselves it's just noise. When something goes wrong, we call it bad luck. When we make a mistake, we blame timing. When we feel regret, we say, well, that's just life. Turns out, all of it was life trying to teach us something. When I was younger, I used to say things like, it's just a phase, or this will sort itself out. If something didn't work, I didn't stop to ask what I could learn from it. I just moved on. Head down, keep going. I thought learning came from books or smart people or formal education. I didn't realize that life itself is the most persistent teacher you'll ever have. And the funny thing is, if you ignore the lesson the first time, life doesn't get offended. It just repeats it. Louder. Sometimes painfully louder. Most of the important lessons in my life became obvious far too late. Today, I can tell you pretty clearly what matters and what doesn't. But back then, I was confident, busy, certain. I thought I was building a life. In reality, I was rushing right past it. It's strange how clarity often shows up when you no longer have much time left to use it. Wisdom has a terrible sense of timing. I didn't learn late because I was stupid. I learned late because I was busy. Too busy to pause. Too busy to reflect. Too busy to ask myself hard questions like, is this actually important, or does it just look important? I believed exhaustion was a badge of honor. If I was tired, I must be doing something right. If my schedule was full, I must be valuable. These days, I smile when I think about that. Or wince. Depends on the morning. For a long time, I chased things that looked meaningful from the outside. Recognition, approval, money, status. I wanted to be seen as successful. I wanted proof that my life was going somewhere. What no one really tells you is that those things are endlessly hungry. You reach one goal and another one appears. And while you're feeding those goals, something else is quietly draining. Your time, your energy, your attention. Time and energy are limited, whether we like it or not. Every time you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something else. And more often than we realize, we say no to the people who matter most, simply because we assume they'll always be there. You think, they understand. You think, I'll make it up to them later. I thought that too. Looking back now, I see how often I lived on autopilot. Wake up, work. Come home tired. Repeat. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into years. I rarely stopped to ask what kind of life I actually wanted. I just followed the path that seemed expected. and autopilot is comfortable. You don't have to think much. You don't have to question yourself. But comfort, I've learned, is not the same as meaning. I also spent a good portion of my life being afraid of failure. I hated being wrong. I hated looking unprepared or incompetent. So I avoided risks. I avoided difficult conversations. I avoided change. I told myself I was being responsible. But failure isn't the enemy. Failure is a tool, a powerful one. The real danger isn't failing. It's failing and never stopping to ask what the failure is trying to teach you. There were moments when I made decisions that felt safe but turned out to be wrong. And instead of learning, I defended them. I said things like, "That's just how it is," or "There was no other choice." There usually was another choice. I just didn't want to examine it. I was too busy protecting my ego. Carrying an ego around for decades is exhausting, by the way. No one tells you that part. The most expensive thing I ever wasted wasn't money. It wasn't opportunities. It was time. Time I assumed I could always earn back later. Years can disappear quietly. One day you wake up and think, how did I get here so fast? There's no warning, no announcement. Life just turns the page. Time seems to move fastest when you're not paying attention. When every day looks the same. When you're busy but not present. And the biggest regret I hear from people my age isn't about things they tried and failed at. It's about things they never tried at all. Conversations they never had. Moments they postponed. Time they assumed they had plenty of. Now at 78, my life is slower. Not because I suddenly became wise, but because my body insists on it. And in that slowness, I finally hear things I used to miss. Life, I've learned, is actually quite simple. We're the ones who make it complicated. Presence, connection, attention. These things don't look impressive, but they last. I don't regret my entire life, not at all. There were good years, laughter, meaningful moments. But I do regret how long it took me to pay attention to the lessons along the way. I assumed I would understand everything later. Understanding earlier would have been far more valuable. If you're younger than me, and chances are you are, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not an authority. I'm just an old man who said later too many times. All I'm suggesting is this. Maybe pause once in a while. Take a breath. Ask yourself honestly what truly matters to you. Not what looks impressive, not what earns applause, but what actually matters when the noise fades. Life will keep teaching. That part is unavoidable. The only real question is whether you choose to learn now or later. Because later is expensive. Very expensive. And the price is rarely money. It's time. Time you can never get back. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for sitting with me for a few minutes. I may forget names, misplace my keys, and lose my train of thought from time to time, but at least this lesson I won't forget again. When you're done watching this, go live your life. Just maybe carry one small question with you. And if your knees don't creak when you stand up yet, enjoy that. Trust me, one day you'll miss it.